Thugs and Thongs, Volume 1, written by Tori Davenport, narrated by LaDon Black. Crystal, where's my dress shoes? Terrence, I really don't know what to tell you. You act like I wear them. Am I supposed to know where your shoes are at? Maybe if you learn to clean this fucking house, you can find your shit when you're looking for it. Yo, Crystal, what the fuck is your problem? My problem, Terrence? My problem is your ass is home all day and don't ever work. I'm tired of doing everything myself, and I feel like the load of everything is on me. If I don't go to work every day, your asses would be out on the street. That's what my problem is. I'm growing tired of this shit. I don't know what else to do. Terrence walks into the entrance of the walk-in closet and fixes his tie and mean-eyes Crystal while she applies her makeup in the vanity. So it's interesting that you feel you do it all around here. I'm out in the streets hustling. I bring you money for bills and I provide you food. I cook and do whatever needs to be done around the house. Not to mention pick your 6 kids up from school, help them with homework, feed them, and make sure they bathe. Bitch, in my opinion, that's a job. Terrence finds his shoes sitting under the vanity. He reaches past Crystal as if she's not even standing there and thrusts into the master bedroom and puts on his shoes. While he laces his shoes and putting on some last touches, Crystal comes out of the vanity, continuing the argument. So you're going to throw my kids up in my face? So you're going to act like hustling your sister to trade cash for food stamps is putting food on the table? So you think if you dick me down every other night that I'd be weak and satisfied, huh? You think that shit is enough, huh? Terrence proceeded to get dressed and gather his things, not saying a word. Secretly, Crystal knew she was pushing it, jumping in his face and being aggressive the way that she was. Before I go, Crystal, I want you to know you have 6 motherfucking kids. I don't. I could be a real fucked up individual and not help you do shit. As far as hustling my sister, the thing you don't understand about a man's heart is the fact that he will do whatever he has to do to take care of his woman and his family. Your bitch ass is unappreciative, and you don't seem to understand that it doesn't fucking matter how I got it, where I got it from. But your bitch ass has a refrigerator full of $400 worth of food. You and 6 little motherfuckers that don't belong to me eat every night. If that isn't enough for you, I don't know what the fuck will be. Terrence storms out of the door in a rage. Upon slamming the door, a picture frame hit the floor, shattering into 1,000 pieces across the living room floor. Crystal grabbed her phone as it began to ring. It was her girlfriend Margaret from the apartment downstairs. Girl, you all right? I hear doors slamming and things falling. You know these walls are paper thin, and you can hear every damn thing that's going on in here. I sighed. Girl, I'm fine. Me and Terrence got into it. He was getting all dressed up to go somewhere, and I was being a real bitch. You know, if he don't come home, I'm going to be real fucked up in the mind. Girl, you know you need to stop that shit. You won't be calling me crying at night. I have a man now. Those days are behind me. No more clubbing and all that reckless shit I was doing. I will always have your back, but I think after 3 baby daddies and a man that has held you down going on 3 years now, girl, you just need to know when to pick your battles because some shit just ain't worth it. Sweat began to pop around my nose as I had Margaret on the speakerphone listening, but mumbling under my breath. Margaret was right, but it was just one of those moments you just want your friend to listen and not give their opinion. My emotions were real sensitive in this moment, so I just stayed quiet until Margaret finished her Girl Do Right sermon. After about 15 minutes of pure silence, and Margaret could see I was hardly responding to her, she paused and said, "Girlie, you still there?" "Yes," I responded. "Oh, honey, you must be on fire with me and just didn't want to hear my shit today. Okay, bad friend today, girl. Let me be quiet and let you talk." I laughed and continued to repowder my face, talking to Margaret. "Girl, you're completely fine. It's not like what you were telling me isn't the truth anyway. So I think I'm just all up in my feelings and really didn't want to hear no shit like that today." Margaret laughed and said, "Oh, girl, for real? I just have to ask you this question. What if today was the last straw? What if Terrence don't come back? What are you going to do?" Honestly, there was a sensation brewing in my stomach as Terrence stormed out the door. I guess you could call that woman's intuition, but that shit came far too late. Why could I not know I was going to wake up being a bitch today? How could I not see that coming? I had 1,000 thoughts and emotions running through my mind, and I sighed deeply and answered Margaret. Girl, to be honest, I would not be shocked if he didn't come back. Sometimes I think I hit below the belt a bit too much. My mom used to be that way. When I think about it, it's obvious I'm doing this shit all wrong, acting too much like my mother because she could never keep a man. I ran 8 men away and I have 3 baby daddies and 6 kids. Girl, all I know is I would be deeply hurt and might need some time to myself to recover. I think that's where my anger comes from. I go from relationship to relationship and I haven't healed from the last one. Margaret chimed in, sipping on a beverage with a straw loudly. As you could hear, there was nothing left in the glass. Girl, excuse me, that drink was good. But I hear you. I have a feeling you might need to find a way to work this thing out. Y'all will be making 3 years officially in a few weeks. You don't need all this drama. Checking myself out in the mirror, making sure every inch of me was looking sexy, I said, yeah, I think I need to find a way to show my man I do appreciate him, but I just need him to do a little more. Margaret seemed to be preoccupied eating. All right, girl, I think I'm going to let you go because this burger's calling me. I laughed and we said our goodbyes. After hanging up the phone, I gathered my things and walked right on the pieces of what used to be a picture hanging close to the entrance of my apartment. I glanced around the room and took an assessment of the house, wondering in my mind if I had everything before I left for work. About 40 minutes later, I pulled up to the apartment complex I worked for. I was dreading going into this leasing office today because I had been about 3 weeks behind in my work. I was dreading what would be waiting for me today. I said a little prayer and I mustered up the strength to get out of the car and enter the building. As I came into the office, Tracy Givens, the secretary, was smiling and said, girl, you have a guest waiting in your office. He's been here about 15 minutes and said he was willing to wait to see you. Oh, thank you, I said, walking fast as I could down the hall. All I could think about in my mind was that this better not be Terrence, popping up at my place of work with some shit we argued about at home. To my surprise, I entered the room, and at first glance, the silhouette of the man was not familiar at all. The closer I got, he heard my steps and turned around. It was Bryce Adams, my oldest son Eric's father. What are you doing here? I thought you was in jail. I made bail. I've been out 2 weeks. I came to drop some papers off this morning and saw some cards on the desk, and it struck me odd that it had your name on it, Crystal Bates. I thought I was losing it, so I asked old girl out there what you look like, and she told me. I knew it was you from the description, so I decided to wait here to surprise you. Bryce, this is quite an unwelcome surprise. I will admit that much. I started shaking my head and fetting with the papers, trying to look busy, because I really didn't want to have a conversation with this man. So why are you here? Bryce leaned up on the desk and said, I've been gone 10 years. I wrote you every month, as a matter of fact, every week. I never heard back from you. I just want to talk to you and let you know how I feel. I want to apologize to you if you feel I messed your life up. I'm not the same person that I used to be 10 years ago. You were 26, I was 29. I was young, dumb, and horny. We kept fucking until I knocked you up. You're the mother of my only child. Bryce, stop. This is my workplace. This conversation is completely out of line. I don't even know who's listening to shit. This is rather personal. We don't need to have this conversation right now. So you just gonna brush me off like that? You're not gonna hear me out and whatnot? I said we can't talk here, Bryce. That's what I said. So what you want to do? Can I take you for coffee or something? I know it's early. I just got here and all, but we really need to talk. Hold on, Bryce. I called the front desk asking Tracy to cover me for 20 minutes while I make a run. Okay, I have 20 minutes. In 20 minutes only. Let's go. Bryce and I walked out of the office, and he said, I live 2 buildings down, 3708 Sugar Hill. Okay, I said. We walked to his apartment, and I said, let me get some coffee from this corner store, and we can talk right here. Bryce said, don't waste your money. I have some fresh coffee I made before leaving the house, and it's still on the pot hot. A little hesitant, I followed Bryce's lead, and we arrived to the 7th floor of his apartment, and it was apartment 708. I entered the apartment, and it was well furnished with some expensive stuff. I glanced around, taking it all in, and Bryce said, have a seat. What do you think? Bryce, I love it. How can you afford all of this coming out of jail? I don't think 20 minutes is enough for me to tell you how all this happened. I laughed. Well, okay, let's talk then. I could see Bryce tearing up, and he leaned forward and took me by the hand. Crystal, my ignorance has caused you a lot of pain. I just want you to forgive me. I looked deeply into his eyes, and I could tell it was real. I could feel myself slipping back into old feelings, and that shit was serious. This man was practically my first true love, my very first relationship I ever had. Given the fact he did do wrong here and there, But the reason he went to jail wasn't even his fault. Bryce was locked up for taking a drug charge for his two brothers. He lied and said that the drugs that were found were his, and they weren't. Bryce, I've forgiven you. You really didn't do anything wrong. I could never understand your choice. I felt like you chose to put your life at risk for your brothers, and you didn't think about me and your son in that process. That's what made me so hurt, angry, and bitter. A lot has changed since you've went away. I had about 6 failed relationships and 3 baby daddies and 6 kids to provide for. Bryce looked me in my eyes very attentively and said, I don't give a fuck about that shit. All I want to know is if I can have your heart back. I want to make up for what I did. I want to see you happy again. I want to be in my son's life. I started feeling uneasy. I stood up. Bryce, you can be in your son's life, but as for me, I'm spoken for right now. Spoken for? What the fuck is that? Bryce said. Bryce, it means I'm in a relationship. My eyes filled with tears. I could feel 1,000 emotions overtaking me all at once. Before I could really realize what was going on, Bryce had grabbed me by the waist and kissed me deeply and intently. I could feel myself losing it. Bryce, stop. Bryce looked at me, and all I could do was close my eyes and pray it went no further than that kiss. As I stood there for a few seconds, I could feel my pussy throbbing and contracting. I was getting hot. I swooped in for another kiss. This time it was my fault. I was already mentally and physically frustrated. Bryce took his strong hands and rubbed my body. It seemed like he touched every inch. Bryce had not been with a woman in 10 years, and of all the women he could have gone after, he came back for me. Bryce laid me down over the back of the couch, and my legs trembled with fear because I knew we were about to go further than what I really wanted to do. But my pussy was aching with lust, and I wanted to fuck. Bryce pulled my black pencil skirt up to my waist and fiddled with my stockings until he got a grip and he ripped them open. I felt like my skin was lit on fire. I was getting pleasure out of his barbaric aggression. I laid on my back like a lustful damsel, and Bryce pulled my red thong to the side, and he was lip to lip with my ball juice pouch. Bryce gently tickled the top part of my vaginal lips as my legs grew weaker and spread in the perfect shape of an M. I could feel my pussy lips spreading as Bryce held my legs open. In for the kill, he went. His tongue was thick and long. I could feel my cherry rise and get thicker. Bryce nibbled and sucked at it until I shook violently from the back-to-back orgasms. Bryce stayed down there playing and eating my juice box until I pleaded with him to stop. He stood to his feet and wiped his face. I was so weak I could not move. He unzipped his pants, and honestly, I don't remember his dick being so big, but that meat fell, and it was long. He was not quite erect yet. He jerked a few strokes while he rubbed my cherry, and he swooped down and penetrated me. I had no strength left. I felt weak, leaking with wetness. Bryce was like a 6'1" gentle giant. He stroked me slow, and with a little force, he forged the rest of his meat inside of me, and I moaned. He kept his hand on my cherry and kept rubbing it as he stroked me. I could feel my pussy gushing and leaking. I could feel Bryce's aggression building. He forged deeper into me, and I could feel his heavy nuts slamming against my asshole. I moaned with what little voice I had left. I could feel his meat thickening inside of me, and I knew it was not going to be long. But to my surprise, Bryce swooped me up and changed positions. I figured this might be the position he wanted to come in. I went with it. I was really expecting him to nut any minute. After about 10 more minutes, he was still going, and I was alarmed. Bryce switched positions again, this time having my back against the dining room wall as he lunged inside of me. Bryce picked me up from being against the wall and stood stroking me in midair. My legs started quivering violently as with each deep stroke he took inside me, I exploded with multiple orgasms to the point I yelled, screamed, and bit down on Bryce's neck, sucking like a vampire. I thought that turned Bryce on even more. He cupped my ass and slammed into me aggressively, and about 60 seconds later, my pussy was leaking with his cum. Bryce put me down, and I stood up in my black and red stilettos, holding the wall. "Where's the bathroom?" I asked. Bryce simply pointed with no words spoken, and I followed the lead of his hand. I sat on the toilet for a minute trying to urinate, but nothing seemed to come down. I took some towels out of the closet in the bathroom and just gave myself a whole bath. I cleaned myself good and took my ripped pantyhose and threw them in the trash in the bathroom. Took some Bath and Body Works spray out of my bag and started spraying from head to toe, giving myself a few good looks in the mirror to make sure my disheveled appearance didn't look so bad. I couldn't help but smile at my bad ass.